Hello everyone, and welcome to today's video. My name is Dr. Sandhya Raman. I'm a lifestyle medicine doctor at My Wellness Doctor, and today we're going to be learning a little bit more about sleep. In today's video, we're going to be covering 1. What sleep does, 2. How much sleep we should all be getting, 3. What happens to our brains and bodies when we don't get enough sleep, and 4. What more we can be doing if we are struggling with sleep. We probably don't need to be shown the science to know that it can feel pretty awful if we don't sleep. Most of us will have had a terrible night of sleep here or there and found it physically unpleasant, difficult to concentrate, and generally somewhat stressful. Sleep used to be something of an unknown, despite the fact that by lying unconscious and unable to move for a third of our lives, we must have made ourselves vulnerable to predators. However, this function has been retained throughout evolution. We don't know of any species in the animal kingdom that doesn't sleep. We also understand that this activity is critical to human health. There are 2 risks to not getting enough sleep. The first is the immediate risk. For example, the danger we pose by having a slow reaction time, poorer concentration, or making mistakes we would otherwise not make if we had slept well. The risk that we're learning more about now is longer-term chronic inadequate sleep. The problem with this kind of chronic inadequate sleep is that most of us do it. We shortchange ourselves on sleep. But the thing is that we adapt and we function on very little sleep, even if the impact isn't so immediately obvious. And so this means we don't have the same drive to improve our sleep. We get into bad habits and we find these difficult to change. Although sleep may seem like a very passive activity, in terms of our metabolism and physiology, it is a highly active process. For example, we literally detoxify our brain whilst we sleep. Our brain in fact shrinks to allow spinal fluid to wash around it to remove toxins. We organize the experiences of our day, and this really helps with memory and stress. We regulate our hunger hormones, we improve our insulin sensitivity, and we optimize our immune function. So how much sleep should we each be getting? As individuals, we do vary somewhat in how much sleep we each need. However, surviving and thriving and functioning optimally on very little sleep is highly unusual. By far, the vast majority of us need between 7 to 9 hours of restorative sleep every night. People who chronically sleep less than this are at increased risk of becoming overweight, of developing diabetes, of having a low mood, and of developing heart disease. So how does inadequate sleep affect our cholesterol levels? Well, it affects us both directly and indirectly. It affects us directly through changes in hormones that regulate the way in which we metabolize fats and sugars in our bloodstream. It also affects us indirectly by changes in hormones that regulate our appetite. So, for example, after a poor night's sleep, we may find ourselves feeling hungrier and making poorer food choices the following day. Even a single night of poor sleep can disrupt various hormones in our body. Normally when we sleep, the potent antioxidant chemical melatonin will wash around our bodies and brains. Melatonin is not only critical to initiating sleep, it also continues to work its magic throughout the night. Studies have shown that it helps to lower our blood pressure, improve our insulin sensitivity, as well as the way we deal with fats and sugars in our bloodstream. In particular, it helps prevent cholesterol from being oxidized, which is part of the process driving fat to be deposited in our blood vessels, leading to cardiovascular disease. Cortisol is a hormone that peaks in the morning soon after waking, just as melatonin has waned. Cortisol helps us to get ready to be up and alert. It is a type of stress hormone, so it stimulates the body to mobilize energy stores into our bloodstream, such as glucose, so these can be used by our cells. If we aren't getting enough sleep, this is a stressor for our bodies, so it releases more cortisol, which also drives our appetite as well as releasing sugars into our bloodstream. In people who chronically have poor sleep, levels of the hunger hormone ghrelin tend to be raised, whilst the fullness hormone leptin is lower. This means we again are more likely to eat types and quantities of food that we shouldn't. So these are all ways in which poor sleep directly affects our metabolism, physiology, and our health behaviours. But beyond this, poor sleep affects our mood, our energy, and our physical and mental resilience. What I have found in my experience working with people is that 1. Inadequate sleep is common. 2. It is often easily improved for most people, and improvements happen quickly. 3. Once people get a few good nights of sleep, they feel unrecognizable. It dramatically improves mood, it improves mental resilience, it improves physical energy and sense of vitality, and it helps people to take on other positive change in their lives. I think good sleep is an absolute foundation for optimum physical and mental health. A few tips to improve your sleep. Melatonin is triggered by a contrast between our day and night light exposure. Even very bright indoor light doesn't have the same intensity as daylight on a cloudy day. So try and get outdoors at some point during the day to trigger that melatonin release at night. Blue lights from our screens inhibit melatonin release, so avoid these in the 2 hours before bed. It is also best to avoid caffeine and alcohol several hours before sleep, as these can affect both the onset and quality of our sleep. We can train our bodies and brains to anticipate sleep, so create a sleep routine for yourself. This may be having a nice soak in the bath, reading and journaling. Then set an alarm each evening to allow yourself the time to wind down.